Okay, we are live. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening.
Nice to have you here live on my channel. We are waiting for Amy to join us as well. Um,
Yeah, you broke up a little.
we have agreed to have this live stream after SFT's debate between Junior Atheist and Kent Hovind.
Hmm.
And we were chatting in the live chat, in the side chat, about RNA, and I was saying that um, error check and repair mechanisms require to be in place prior live to start. And then you said, "Oh, but you started to say something about RNA. Maybe you can elucidate a little bit more what you mean by that, what you understand by that."
Sure. You're breaking up just a little bit. Amy's here. Okay.
How
Yeah.
are you
So
guys?
Yes, I'm
doing
good. I'm good.
fine. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. Fun debate.
Uh, so what I said in the live chat. So I think that the error correction mechanisms already exist in RNA. RNA is a replicating molecule, and it is able to do that. So it has to have at least some of those mechanisms, and it would then pass that on when it creates DNA. And I'm aware that I'm not really qualified to talk on the topic, but this is as far as I understand it.
Well, I disagree with you, Peter. There were some science papers in the 1980s which propagated and made that claim popular that RNA would be able to self-replicate. But by looking closer into these claims, um, it has shown that this is actually not true. So maybe this is not the
It's,
format here to go deeper into the science,
no,
but
I don't think so either. But it's an old paper,
yes,
1980s.
but you see, Peter, this is what I think is remarkable. You did catch up that information somewhere, and without going actually deeper into investigating this, you have just repeated it as if it were true. But you don't
No,
actually understand precisely what is being claimed there. And I can quote you here an abiotic
that,
origin of
oh,
QB replicas. It's a short sentence. Is absurd because it consists of a combination of four protein subunits and more than 1,200 amino acids in a specific sequence and enzyme of a great complexity. And RNA replication experiments require supply of pure homochiral nucleotides and the supply of just these QB replicase, an enzyme that is actually responsible for combining the nucleotides into RNA molecules. And then, of course, you have to ask yourself, where did that QB replicase come from? Because this is already a very complex enzyme which is specified by DNA.
as I said, I'm not entirely qualified to talk on the topic, but the mere fact that RNA can replicate, so it has to have those correction methods. Otherwise, it would uh, go extinct. So, but
Well, I just refuted that claim. It is a claim that RNA can self-replicate based on a science paper from the 1980s. But in order to do so, it already requires highly complex enzymes which were not there prebiotically. And these enzymes, they are specified by DNA. And then you have to ask, well, but where does that information and that DNA come from, which specified these enzymes, which then helped RNA to replicate. So this is an entirely nonsensical claim.
It depends. So the thing that I have the most problem with is the age of the paper. I recently did some searching. Are you, for instance, are you aware that in 2019 researchers found more than 1 million alternatives to DNA? Have you read up?
Okay, let me clarify this, Peter. This is actually, when we go into the details, an absolutely amazing evidence for design. Why? I don't know if you are familiar what DNA and RNA is made of. Do you know that?
Ribosomes.
No. The ribosome is a machinery which translates the messenger RNA into amino acids. It has nothing to do with the question what RNA and DNA is made of.
They're amino acids, but what they're made of, as I said, it's not my field of expertise. So we could have a conversation about it, but it's really not my field of expertise.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, but I don't want to go much into the technical mumbo jumbo, but just to advance a little bit in what you just claimed, there can be a million alternative DNAs. Okay.
No, not DNAs. Possible alternatives to DNA, which is different.
But possible alternatives to the DNA molecule, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's precisely what I will address. DNA is composed of the phosphate, the ribose backbone, and the base. There are 5 bases, okay? The base is the crux of the issue. The base is made of atoms, which are joined into a ring structure, and they are made of nitrogen and carbon. Now, these atoms and that composition is absolutely crucial in order for you to have Watson-Crick base pairing. And if that composition is not the precisely one which we have in the 5 bases, then you cannot have the right strength of bonds, of the hydrogen bond, which actually joins the DNA ladder into the double-strand ladder. What means that you could not have life if that composition would be not just right. And the Science paper recently investigated this, and they said that there are over 1 million different possible combinations of the atoms which form that isomeric ring structure of purines and pyrimidines, which are the basis of DNA. So the big question here, of course, is what is the source which actually did compose the right structure and the right atoms to have the bases which permit to have Watson-Crick base pairing? That is an essential origin of life question. And then you have basically 2 possible explanations. One is that random luck choose the right atoms from over 1 million different possible combinations, or intelligence had foresight, knew what is required to have an information semantophoretic bearing molecule, and then brought up the right composition. So the answer is up to you. You can choose what you think makes more sense. But you require intelligence to select the right composition.
No, I'm. This is a common mistake. I don't have to make up what makes more sense, because things that might make more sense to me could be absolutely wrong. But here's the thing, and I wanna throw that just in here. Amy just said she can join for about 30 minutes. Maybe it's good to hop on a different topic for as long as Amy's here, and we can pick it up later when Amy hops off again.
Well, I have a question actually, Antangelo. And then I just want to know, what is it is there something that would be like, okay, I see this and now evolution is true? What would be the thing that would make you believe in evolution?
Okay, Amy, when we talk about evolution, we have to ask, first of all, what do you mean by evolution? There are different meanings of evolution, and there are things which we know that are true, which are empirically demonstrated. Evolution is change over time. We know that this is true, but I can give you here what I think is true in regards of evolution and what I think is not true. Okay, so
Okay.
just give me a minute here. Just give me a minute.
Oh, by the way, we have Atheist Junior in the side chat. He's listening in the car. AJ, great job on the debate. For first debate, I think you did extremely well.
Okay.
I agree.
Just a minute, please. Here we go.
It's actually a fairly civil debate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is fact in regards of evolution? First, change over time, history of nature, any sequence of events in nature. 2, changes in the frequencies of alleles in the gene pool of a population. 3, limited common descent, the idea that particular groups of organisms have descended from a common ancestor. 4, the mechanisms responsible for the change required to produce limited descent with modification, chiefly pre-programmed selection acting on random variations or mutations. And 5, natural selection acting upon 2 random mutations as shown in malaria. What is not fact? And that is where the dispute is. 6, universal common descent. The idea that all organisms have descended from a single common ancestor. And 7, that's the most important one, the blind watchmaker thesis. The idea that all organisms have descended from a common ancestor through unguided, unintelligent, purposeless material processes, such as natural selection acting on random variations or mutations. The idea that the Darwinian mechanism of natural selection acting on random variation and other similarly naturalistic mechanisms completely suffice to explain the origin of novel biological forms and the appearance of design in complex organisms. The last 2 points are which are in dispute and which theists and atheists disagree on.
So I was with you until the last 2.
Yes,
I don't know if I should push back because Peter said he wanted to change topics, but at least you gave me an answer. I'd be really open to talk about the watchmaker one day, though.
Yeah, sure, we can do that. So in regards of common ancestry, there are very powerful reasons why that is most likely not the case, that all life forms descend from a common ancestor. And if you want, I can give the link, and then after our conversation, you can look it up.
Okay.
Just a minute. Just a minute. And in regards of the last one, I can also give a link. I'll put it in the side chat so anyone can look that up after the show here. Okay.
Talking about side chat, Otangelo, I'm going to slay you with this. When are you going to unblock me?
I tried that to do once, and then it was such a puzzle to find where to unblock people. I just hated it, and it is some time back ago. But you have the second account, which is not blocked,
Yeah.
so that
No, I've got 2 gonna go for it accounts, which are both gonna go for it channels. So not sock accounts, and I've got my own Peter the Tucker account that I had to make because I had to do a Christian show, and so as not to confuse people, I made a Peter the Tucker account as well.
Okay, so I did put both links in the side chat. One is about common descent, and the other is where do complex organisms come from. And my stance on this is that the real mechanisms are far more complex than commonly acknowledged in order to have complex multicellular organisms.
And do you mind if I push back on that? Why do you think complexity is the hallmark of design?
Okay, first we would have to ask what is complexity, okay? And I have also investigated this. I can also give a link in regards of that, what it actually means.
Okay.
A minute.
And well, I feel bad. I won't make another.
We use so often these terms and actually never really think about what their origin is, what they actually mean. And so I've done that. I'll put it here in the side chat as well. If you want, I can actually quote here from that. First, when we see complexification, that is interconnecting parts, weaving together, aggregating subunits, wrapping around, encompassing, interlinking, interlocking, twisting, interlacing, fusing, assembling related things, intricately combining things where the system is greater than the sum of their parts. Then it is logical to attribute such actions to intelligently acting mind with foresight and foreknowledge and distant goals. Making systems with the hallmark of complexity depends on the careful elaboration and design in detail of many elementary parts and interconnecting them in a meaningful way, conferring a specific purpose or function. Not rarely, small changes in one part of the system can cause sudden and unexpected outputs in other parts of the system, system-wide reorganization or breaking down of the higher function. Random accidents are not the best case adequate explanation for the origin of emerging properties of a complex system. Intelligent design is. So that's my view on it.
I mean, I guess I'll take it. From my view, I don't understand why complexity would equal design. From my view, simplicity equals design. And so therefore, the complexity of nature is evidence actually that we were not created.
Okay, so you brought it up in a previous stream for which I remember. And my reply to that was, it is meaningless to apply Occam's razor and try to simplify something when that simplification doesn't bear the function which is desired.
Can I rebut that, Otangelo? Because let's say you build a house and you've got a roof on it that has a gutter. From the gutter to the drain, you will choose the shortest path. That is intelligent design. When you look at a giraffe that has a laryngeal nerve that runs from the head down to the neck, to the heart, crosses the aorta, then goes back up the neck to the brain, that's the opposite of intelligent design. Because the nerve could have been made from the larynx to the brain without going several feet down, looping around and going back up again. If there was an intelligent designer, this is where we can definitely say he had no hand in it.
Okay, I did just put a link in the side chat which answers that argument of yours also here in the private chat. I don't think
I doubt it will, but I'll check.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the format to go into the minutiae of the reasons of that, but what I can say in a more general sense, this basically is the claim that bad design is evidence of no design. And I would say if you see
No. That's moving the goalpost. I said intelligent design. An
Okay,
intelligent designer would not have designed the giraffe the way that we see the giraffe now. That there was no intelligent designer involved in that.
Okay, so my objection to that claim, Peter, stands that bad design is not evidence for no design. And I give you an example. If you let's suppose that you see a
You
cell
keep
phone.
you keep moving the goalpost. I didn't say no design. I said intelligent design, which is different. And
Okay,
I'm
so
reading
okay, so I will
I'm reading
rephrase.
your
So I
rebuttal.
will. So I
Hold on.
will
I'm reading your.
rephrase.
Wait a minute. I'm reading your rebuttal, and for the people who can't see this and are listening in, one of the things um, you quote Dawkins. Dawkins consider only its main destination the larynx. In reality, the nerve also has a role in supplying parts of the heart, windpipe muscles, mucous membranes, the esophagus, which could explain its route. That could be true, but still a more intelligent design would be separate nerves for all of those, so it doesn't have to loop back to the brain. You could have a separate nerves that will go to the heart, um, and have it less fragile. Let's put it at that. So that's where I clearly make a distinction, not between design and no design, but between design and an intelligent designer. An
Okay,
all powerful intelligent designer could, and not only could, but would have done better.
okay. This is a very common attempt of refuting intelligent design, and my answer to that is that um, the fact that you think that some this device or design in the natural world is bad design is not evidence that it was not intelligently designed at all. There can be different reasons, and one objection as well is this: if you see a cell phone and then you want to make a phone call and the keyboard has some problem, would you immediately jump to the conclusion that because the keyboard has some problem, the cell phone wasn't designed at all?
No,
So the same goes with
which is why I made this distinction between uh, not between no design and design, but between design and intelligent design. Because what we see in nature, there is design, except the designer is the theory of evolution. It is the mutations that happen when DNA is copied. If there would have been an intelligent designer, hold on. If there would have been an intelligent designer, DNA would copy without mistakes. And people will then say, well, hold on, but then you can't adapt to your environment. Yes, you can, because your environment would also not change because it would have DNA that would copy without mistakes.
Okay, you made a lot of assertions here, and in actually to give an adequate answer to everything what you just said, that would take a lot of time. But I want to come back.
If you, Otangelo, if you and I are going to hash out everything, it's going to take us years.
Well, this is what conversations usually are made for, you know. But what strikes me is
I'm just referring.
You did basically.
I'm just referring to me having looked up everything, because you're way ahead of me when it comes to this, when it comes to looking up papers, because this isn't my field. This is your field.
Yes, but the thing is that you believe these things. See how you started. You started with RNA self-replicates. As soon as you start digging deeper into that assertion, which is an assertion made by science papers back in the 80s. As soon as you do that, then you see, well, it's not exactly so as they make believe the case. It is the case.
But I'm not looking to the 80s. I'm looking to more modern papers, and we know RNA is self-replicating. There's no doubt.
Okay, so let's do this.
We do know that because we have viruses that are RNA based. They have to be able to replicate, so RNA has to be able to replicate as well.
Of course, but that is completely different because you need a host, you need a living organism in order for viruses to exist, to replicate, and when that host is not existing, they cannot survive. They cannot exist. In reality, viruses and life are interdependent. Life cannot exist without viruses, but viruses cannot exist without life either, which is another big chicken and egg problem for origin of life research and scenarios, because you need both. But that has absolutely nothing to do with self-replicating RNA, which is a scenario which is proposed by abiogenesis researchers, which claim that RNA came before DNA and somehow it self-replicated, and then from that stage, chemical evolution occurred, and then somewhere, somewhen, DNA showed up, and then the storytelling becomes very vague. But if you go to look up actually what they mean by self-replication, then you see that actually these enzymes which I talked about previously are necessary, and you need a template. And then the scenario starts to become very, very different than they want to make believe.
I'm looking it up. So they can't keep themselves in a stable state. They don't grow, and they can't make their own energy, even though they definitely replicate and adapt to their environment. Viruses aren't considered real, but more like androids. They are more like androids than they are living organisms. That is from the khanacademy.org.
Yes, that's not a good scientific source. It is
as I said, this isn't my field. We can keep continuing on this, but you would be talking to a complete layperson who, as they go, needs to look up everything. The bit that I know,
I start from the premise. Sorry to interrupt you, Peter. That you are an open-minded person, that you are interested to learn, and that you permit the evidence to lead wherever it is, even if it is not into the direction which you currently hold. So if you are honest and actually do your homework, as I have done for many years, then it is possible that you eventually will see that the scenario isn't like it was. It seems, looking from a superficial perspective.
Well, what I'm doing so far is I'm literally standing on the shoulders of what I consider to be giants. If I need to get information on any of that, I will consult either Jackson Wheat or PZ Myers.
You are welcome to call them to come to my stream. I mean, PC Myers, he thinks that I am not qualified to have a scientific conversation with him. I am fine with that. I invited Jackson Wheat to have a debate on common ancestry on a modern day debate. And James, he said that wasn't the topic which he was interested to have at his channel. And then I said to Jackson, we can have it at any other channel which you like. And then he didn't show up anymore. So if you have a closer relationship to him, I am open to have that conversation with him wherever he likes.
Otangelo, guess who Jackson Wheat's producer is?
Oh, so so you have access to him. My invite stands. I am not
I
shy at all to have a
Jackson
conversation
is
to
Jackson
handle that.
is a Jackson is a good and a close friend of mine. I'll shoot him a DM, see what happens.
I am not shy to have a conversation with him, with
And if
whoever
there are,
you want.
and for the record, if there are any complaints, because I do recall a different Otangelo than the person that I'm talking to today. You will agree with me that you know a different Peter the Tucker than the one you're talking with today. So if anything would come up, I'll put in a good words and see if I can make it happen. So I'll be more than happy to do that, because and I've told a few people this, and so I want to at least have the opportunity to say this on your channel. I've talked to a lot of people lately about you. I've told people that we've had offline conversations that went very well. I've told people that we both agreed that we weren't always productive and that we're going to try and do better. And maybe, just maybe, the fact that just a couple of months ago, you didn't even want to talk to me, and we're now planning to do a show together. Maybe that could be an example for other people to look past their disagreements, try to find some common ground, and try to find a way to actually communicate and have a dialogue. Because I consider this still one of my main victories, that we're able to do this.
One of my favorite, I don't even know if Abraham Lincoln really said it, but the quote goes, "Do I not destroy my enemies by making them into friends?"
Well, I've said always that I try to create breaches and not walls. That is something which I have always said, and you will hardly see me after our conversation go after you or go after Amy, and then
No,
just like a machine gun going to trucidate you and what an idiot you are and so forth. And sadly, I mean, sometimes I see good reasons to say that, and I say it. I mean, even today I was at Speed's channel, and in my understanding, Leo made so foolish comments about my comments in the chat that I called him as a clown. But when I say that, I say it with a reason. I don't simply say it in a general sense or always. What I usually try to do is, after I have a conversation and it is not productive with an atheist, say goodbye, all the best, and then move on. But I see many make it into a hobby to do after talk. Basically, 20% they talk about subjects which are relevant in regards of origins, which we can learn from each other, and then 80% is talking about the person. And I don't think this is productive.
I agree, but it's also human. It's
And some say that gossip is something which attracts attention. That's true, of course, as well. I mean, there are specialized journals only about gossip about people. So hey, whatever.
Yeah, and it's also and I don't think it's always bad. It's also part of relieving stress when you had a conversation that didn't go well. And I think, at least as adults, we should be able to, even if we do that, move on from there. I mean, as I said, I've seen you on the internet. I've seen you obviously in Arden Ra's live chat, and what people probably won't realize, and this is maybe I have a unique view of that, is that there's also a language barrier, which at times makes you, Otangelo, look. It can make you look arrogant when I know that that's not what you are. It can make you look condescending, which I know is not what you intend to do. But if you, especially when you're in a live chat, you've got a limited amount of characters. You have to express what you want to convey. English not being your first language makes it just that little bit more difficult to do so without people picking up other things that slipped in there unintentionally. And so this is probably why I can relate to that. And a couple of weeks ago, I had a chat with Arden Ra, and because you mentioned that you would like to talk to him, and I told Arden that I spoke to you, and that I spoke to a completely different person than we would see in his live chat. And so he said he would think about it, which I think is already a win. Maybe it'll happen.
Because I know Aaron for maybe a lot more time that you probably think, and a couple of years ago,
in writing.
Yes, not talking to it. I've never talked to him directly, but a couple
Exactly.
of years ago, I was on Facebook at his timeline, and then I said that he also requires faith to believe that naturalism is true, and he immediately
that's incorrect.
blocked
Yeah.
me and
Yeah.
claiming that I was lying about him and misrepresenting his views. And I think
Can I give you advice on that?
Mhm.
Let's say you think that is the case. The most honest thing to do is to ask a person. And if you then still have doubts, try to see and figure out whether or not they're actually using faith for something.
Maybe here is precisely she said that she would leave, so that's fine. Maybe there is really a language barrier which you just brought up in regards of this, because Aaron has an understanding of what faith means, which maybe I don't hold to the same understanding, and probably there lies the difference, and maybe that's why he felt offended when I said that.
No. So Arn, like me, is an epistaphist. Do you know what an epistaphist is?
No.
An epistaphist is someone who rejects faith as we consider it to be the most dishonest position to hold on any other given position.
Okay.
And that so if you see the sign on Arden Ra's channel, the triangle with the 3 dots, that's called the Zapdos. The Zapdos is the symbol of an epistaphist. So if you go to an epistaphist and say you have faith, then you clearly do not know what their position is, and you could argue about the different definitions of faith. And this is why I make the distinction that if faith means trust, then I will use the word trust, just so we don't get the baggage that the word faith has.
That's why sometimes it is important that someone actually clarifies what is meant by faith. And if by faith is meant blind faith, or to hold a position without having a good reason, and I claim that you are a faith-based person in regards of origins, then I can understand that you are getting upset because you think that I just name called you or insulted you.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that's where maybe it is important actually to clarify what we mean by that. And I can do that right now, what I mean to when I said that. The thing is that nobody of us has access to ultimate reality. Neither you nor I, we do not know if beyond the physical universe, if there is something or not. So all we can do is we can observe reality, and then through reason and a sound epistemological framework, we can investigate um, origins and the evidence, and then come to a conclusion. But that conclusion is never empirically proven. It is just based on the evidence, and that position, which either a theist or an atheist holds, is a faith-based position, but it can be a reasoned position. It can be a reasonable faith because it is the faith which is result of a careful investigation of the evidence which we have at hand. And then you can say, I investigated this and that, and based on that, I believe that the natural world is all there is. And I, as a theist, can say, looking at the same evidence based on this and that reason, I believe that a God is the more case adequate explanation of our existence and reality. But both positions are based on faith.
That's why you will never hear me say I believe. What you will hear me say is I accept.
But you accept it on what? On what basis? Not on knowledge, because you cannot know.
Based on evidence, based on facts presented to me.
Okay, but your position is not a proven fact. You cannot prove that there is only the natural world. So you have to take it, like it or not. It is a faith.
It's like arguing whether or not we're a brain in a vat. I can't prove that I'm not a brain in a vat, but I have to deal with reality as reality presents itself to me. So I don't have to argue whether or not there's anything outside of the natural world until I am presented with evidence that there actually is something outside of it. I don't have to take a position on it.
Well, the thing is, Peter, I mean, this is a very common mistake which I see atheists making very, very frequently, which is they don't think about constructing first a solid epistemological framework upon which investigating origins, and then they just go by whatever mindset they have. And usually it goes like this: I was a Christian, I was this and I was that, and I started to doubt in regards of this and that. I started to read the Bible. I thought it were just storytelling, Bronze Age myth, and so forth. Then I started to lose my faith in the Bible. Today I'm an atheist, but if you ask me what replaces God, then I don't know. I'm investigating it. This is a narrative which I see very commonly. But what I say is,
that's a mistake. That's a mistake. The whole question. No, the whole question is a mistake. The question, what replaces God, is nonsensical if you don't hold the idea that something like a God is needed. I don't have that idea, so I don't have to replace it with anything.
Wait. In order for you to be able to say that a God is not needed, I always ask atheists, how can we explain our existence without a creator? And guess what? I have never seen an atheist providing me a compelling, sound argument or explanation or answer to that question.
Where do you want to know where hi Cerberus.
Hi, Cerberus.
Hey, Cerberus.
When you mean where we come from, it depends on what scale. Do you mean multicellular life? Do you mean all of life? Do you mean the planet? Do you mean the universe?
Everything. Our reality are the physical universe, life, biodiversity, consciousness, morality, fine-tuning, whatever englobes physical, whatever englobes origin.
Don't throw just consciousness in there. Consciousness has nothing to do with it.
Well, the question is as well, where does consciousness come from? It makes
consciousness. Consciousness is an emergent property of the brain, so it comes from a brain, and not only a human brain. It comes from. No, we can test that. We can test consciousness. We can actually take pictures of consciousness through an MRI.
Yes, but yes,
we don't know why.
It's not.
While we don't know exactly
what we're talking about.
While we don't know exactly, while we don't know exactly what consciousness is and how it evolved, we can actually show it.
Okay, Peter.
So,
and I think I know what consciousness is and how.
Yeah, but that's not what we are talking about right now. So let's have that conversation maybe another time. But I mean, that's the crux of the question. If you want to have an atheistic or a naturalistic position, if you want to defend a positive view of atheism, that there is no God, or that the natural world is all there is, then you need to find explanations which do not require a creator to explain all these phenomena which I listed. And if you try that,
maybe I'm confused. Hold on, maybe I'm confused. Can you list just one thing where you think a creator is needed? Just one thing, not an entire list of things. Just one.
I think a creator is needed to originate the universe.
Okay, so what we know so far is that everything was condensed in a small spot, being energy. Right after the expansion, energy can change into matter spontaneously. Matter can change into energy spontaneously. We know this for a fact. Both cannot be created or destroyed. Another thing we know, at least not in our current universe, because we can't look past Planck time, which is where our laws of physics break down. So we know where matter came from. It came from the energy that expanded in the Big Bang. Where did the energy come from? We don't know. But fun fact, if you think that the laws of physics are correct and the first law of thermodynamics is correct, then that excludes a God.
Well,
good evening.
Yes, hello, Joel. Long time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Hey, yeah, I heard you guys talk about science. I wanted to join in. Yeah, no, the guy that founded the laws of thermodynamics, Lord Kelvin, he said that if you study science enough, man, it will force you to believe in God. How you guys doing?
He's wrong.
Well, he's wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
people
wrong.
can be wrong and right.
He invented the stuff. How's he wrong?
He invented science?
He invented the laws of thermodynamics, or at least he established them. He put them together.
So a very specific, but a very awesome and amazing. But
yeah, it sounds like an argument of there are laws, therefore God.
Yeah,
it exists.
Just by the way, I am driving.
So
also,
Joe,
please don't die.
Joe, I'm really curious now. What evidence did he have for a God?
By the fact that there is limitation with the temperatures, that if you have basically like what Antangelo was saying, was that if you've got anything to do like with heat or energy or any kind of dispersion, there has to be a beginning to all of that. So it goes well beyond just the Big Bang, which by the way, all the Big Bang stuff is all Christian creationism as well. So everything that we talk about, all of science, is only from creationists exclusively. So
no, it's not.
That's
anything
not
that
true.
it is all of it. So anything atheists can say is they have to
You can
take
say that.
they can take all atheists have to take creationist science and beat us over the head with it, literally, all of it.
Joel,
Except when it's Muslim science or secular science or pagan science
Nope,
or
there's none.
anything
There
but
is no.
Christianity.
All fields of science have been started exclusively by creationists.
Can I
Atheists
ask if you
never
have
done
any
anything in
evidence for
science.
that?
Yes,
Can I ask
we have
about any
all
evidence?
evidence. Every
Right,
single
guys.
field of science was started by
Guys,
Please
Christians. Not
present,
Christians,
I
but
know you're driving, so you
presenting
can't
evidence.
present it right now, but when you actually get the chance to, please
No, I
present
can talk
the
about
evidence.
Yeah,
Hold on,
that's
Joe,
what we do
Joe.
for a living.
Joel,
Yeah, please,
Joel,
talk about it.
let me ask a
Please,
question.
yeah, please, no, yeah. I've been trying to answer all these questions. So one at a
I
time.
have one question.
Shoot.
You're driving, right?
Getting some Taco Bell.
If you look on your dashboard and look how fast you're going, how is that displayed to you? How fast you're going?
Excitation of photons behind LED display. I mean, what's your point?
No. So the exact measurement, how fast you're going, how is that displayed?
By how's it displayed again? Is by excitation of photons in a light emitting
Make
diode.
make it simpler. Is it in text or is it in numbers?
Both.
Okay. What kind of numbers are you using?
The ones that we use for humanity, for human language.
Arabic, right? Like in Muslim?
No.
You're not using Arabic numerals?
You're
1,
using
2,
Arabic
3,
numerals, trust me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Arabic numerals?
What's that got to do with Arabic?
They are Arabic numerals by definition.
Or Arabic numerals. Those are the things the Muslims came up with that you thought.
Would it make it easier for me if it was in Roman numerals? What's the next your point?
Yes, because we don't use Roman numerals. The point is
How
you're
is
using
that
something
relevant?
Arabic. Because you're
And-
using
and-
something Arabic.
And another thing,
Got it from somewhere else.
Joel,
I understand.
Joel, another thing.
This is ridiculous.
This might be a problem because you're not wearing headphones, so you can't hear us when we're talking. and
Why would
keep
you ask
talking.
me something that's stupid?
Hold on.
What's
Hold
the
on,
point?
I'll ask you another stupid thing. So Otangelo has a backdrop here on StreamYard, which is stars. Can you explain to me why most stars have Arabic names? Because Muslims discovered them?
Because theists are the only ones that can do science?
You
Yeah,
just
so-
said there was no such thing as Muslim and Islam creationists.
That's a creationist,
These are
right? No, you have to calm down, dude. You're getting emotional. You need to chill.
Here,
I
step
said
in the right
atheists
direction. We've went from
Don't
Christianity
do anything
to
for
theism.
science.
I think
We've
you. I
already
think I'll
taken
agree
about
you are pretty.
Muslims are
Slow down
theists. Stand
and
by.
not overtalk, please.
Yeah, I'm
Go
gonna go put on a brief hold, guys. I'm gonna give you some Taco Bell. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So there's a simple, and I think atheists assume this, even though they don't think about it. Anything you need to create a universe can be done with just existence. You don't need a deity. It could simply just be a property of existence.
Yes,
Well,
and
but,
I would
why
add to
is
that
that-
existence is the one and only thing, if a God exists, that he needs to rely on. Because if
Yeah.
he's not part of existence, then he doesn't exist. Therefore, he's not real.
Yeah.
So, if there is a basis for everything, it's existence.
Yeah, if you're assuming a god, you have to assume an existence first. That's
Mhm.
why it can't. That's why it can't be primary. I know. I know some people like to pretend that God could be a primary, but if God is a primary, then he simply logically does not exist.
I like
Yeah.
how Einstein put it. God is the first cause, quote unquote.
Yeah. So Einstein would call existence the first cause when I brought it up to him.
No. He said God is the first cause, and existence is through God.
Yeah. Now you need to understand what Einstein meant by God.
The
Yeah.
God
Yes,
of
I
the
do.
Bible self-reveals
No, you think you
himself
do.
as the
He wasn't a
I am.
Christian.
I've got
I
Einstein
am
as
who
my
you
logo,
be.
and I've got tons of quotes where Einstein actually points out that he is an atheist. But
Right? Do you have the quote where Einstein said that when people call him an atheist, it literally pissed him off? Did you get that quote?
no, I got
No, you don't.
I got the letter.
The
that
Gutlein
he
letter, the
wrote.
fake Gutlein letter, right?
Oh man.
You got the forged Gukine letter
Do you have
that an atheist church
Joel,
sold anonymously in 2008 that could never be
Joel,
verified?
do you have,
Do you have
do you have
that?
access?
Conspiracy
do you have-
theories. Woo.
Joel, do you have access
you
to
atheists
headphones
are ridiculous.
so we can limit the over talking, please?
Well, it's frustrating how ridiculous atheist religious
It's
apologetic
frustrating.
dogma
It's
is.
frustrating when people overtalk you. I fully agree.
I wasn't over talking you. I was correcting you. Einstein said that atheists pissed him off. Literally, he said it makes him angry. when
You're both wrong on Einstein and
No, you're
and the
not.
over talking bit, but this isn't my channel. So
You're
I'll-
just trying to
I'll
correct
put it
people
on there.
because they know that you're wrong. That's all. You're trying to overtalk people because you are factually false in your information and you don't want to hear others to hear it. That's all.
I think you're both wrong.
Well, it's irrelevant.
I mean-
Einstein's stuff is out there.
Yeah, it is out
You
there.
want to
He-
talk about what the first
he-
cause is, and that's
he called-
great.
He called himself a religious non-believer.
No, he didn't.
He didn't
That's
call
what
himself.
that's what
No, no,
Christian
no, no,
denomination
no.
people call them.
No, and he also said he would call himself an agnostic for people in public. He never said he was an atheist.
He
never said he
also
was a Christian.
he also said he agreed with Spinoza, and Spinoza said that Jesus is God. He said Christ is the way of salvation. Atheist
Can I-
apologetics
can-
is
can
always
I- can
wrong.
I-
Interested in that.
Can I read the letter from Einstein dated
No,
24th
it's fraud.
of March 1954? And
That's
the letter
fraud.
and the letter is included in Einstein's book, The Human Side.
It's
I'll
fraud.
quote.
I
It was,
apologize.
of course.
I forgot my wallet.
Joel, can you mute or stop over talking,
I'll be back.
please?
He's
Yeah,
He's
the
a
Gukine letter
bad,
was faked. It's not even in his own handwriting.
Can
And
you
it contradicts
mute?
everything
Can you,
Einstein ever said.
Joel? Can you mute or stop over talking, please?
Oh, you want me to stop talking so you can lie to us? Okay, that's
I'm
cool.
reading. I'm
I mean-
reading you the
So
letter.
the word
that
childish
Einstein-
is never in the Gukine letter. The frauds that sold it, they also mistranslated it.
Otangelo, can you mute him, please?
Yeah, shut up, Joel, so that some atheists can lie about Einstein and
Okay,
everything
Joel.
else. Great.
Otangelo, thanks, because this is ridiculous.
You don't want to talk about the actual science. You just want to quote things.
We just talked about over talking, and you keep over talking. I'll wait until it's my turn. How's that?
And actually,
Okay.
guys, I'm
Okay.
gonna interrupt both of you because I just want to say, Antangelo, thank you so very much for coming on the stream, and I'll keep on coming. Keep on inviting me. I'll keep on coming back on.
Okay,
And
you
Peter,
have a
Joel,
good night.
Severus, sending you all loves and hearts, and
See you
Bye, guys.
tomorrow at 10,
Bye-bye.
Amy, for the
see you
after show.
tomorrow at 10.
Okay,
Yes,
later.
I'll have a debate tomorrow night at MDD about Noah's Ark, and so everyone who is interested in the topic, you guys.
What
are
time?
invited to watch? Just go to MDD. He has the announcement. Let me check here.
Okay.
I think it's 9 o'clock my time, but let me just check here. Just a minute.
Well, then, good luck, Antangelo.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, well, let's
Okay,
you
let
two
me
take
check
turns.
here.
Because Spinoza's God was Natura Naturus.
It will
It
be 9
wasn't-
p.m. my time. 9 p.m. my time tomorrow night. So
And
I am
what
doing
time
tonight.
zone? What time zone are you in? Because I still have problems with the whole time zones thing.
GMT -3, but I will put the link here in the side chat so you guys can watch.
Oh,
it.
great, great.
Okay.
Okay. So Spinoza believed in Natura Naturus, meaning essentially God is nature. He wasn't a Christian. He was a pantheist. And when Einstein said he agreed with Spinoza, that's what he was talking about.
I don't like bringing up Einstein in order to defend.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all whether or not he was a theist or an atheist.
Yeah.
It's just that people get so hung up on it when we have an actual letter that he published in one of his books. Well, if the letter is a fake, why did he put it in his book? That would be my question. But
As soon as this issue comes up, it becomes a shit show.
I fully agree. It's those are arguments from authority fallacies, and those are the things we shouldn't do. If we're going to go off of things, we should go off of the science, not the person saying it, because if people don't know, the person who came up with the Big Bang was a Catholic priest, not a creationist, a Catholic priest. Is now the science invalid because it was a Christian who came up with this? No, because what he came up with was actual science. There are a lot of Christians who do science, and there are a lot of Christians who do good science. There are a lot of Muslims who do good science. It has nothing to do with the science.
Yes.
Just wanted to state that.
Can we go back to what we were talking previously? Do you understand now why I say that both positions, either the theistic or the atheistic position, in the end, it is a position based on faith, because none of us has empirical proofs of either worldview?
No, I reject that. I reject using the word faith and using faith. I have no faith. I know that we can look back to Planck time. We can't look past Planck time because our laws of physics break down. So until someone comes up with laws of physics that apply in the period of time before Planck time, the only honest thing we can do is say, I don't know. And I don't need faith to say, I don't know. That is an honest statement. And I would go as far as saying that no one knows, because we don't have the science to investigate. And from there on, everything becomes assumptions. And you can assume whatever you want. You cannot state it as fact.
And it would be fair to say that if you assume things past that point, then it would be faith.
Well,
Yes.
I could replace the word faith with assumption. So I could say, I assume, based on the evidence at hand, that God is the best explanation for our
But you
existence.
have no evidence because we can't investigate. That's my problem.
Anyway,
Can you investigate that the claim is true, that the material world is all there is and that there is nothing beyond?
No, because no one's making that claim. I've met no scientist who makes that claim.
Well, the thing is that as soon as you hold to a naturalistic position, then you assume that there is nothing beyond.
No,
if you
no,
cannot
that's not the
prove it.
case. No, that's not the case. All we can see and we can investigate is the natural world. We have no means to investigate beyond the natural world. We have no knowledge of what exists beyond the natural world. So there's no scientist who will claim that there is anything beyond the natural world, because they would be dishonest.
Well,
Hey, can you
there are
guys
so
hear me
many
okay
that-
or no?
Well, there are so many that stick to a multiverse, to bubble universes,
Those,
to all
but
that
those,
kind of stuff.
I, yeah,
Even
and
she-
I
even
would
Sam
say
Carroll does. Even Paul Davis
Hey.
does, and I can
Those-
give you a number
those-
of
You and Max
very
Planck,
Angelo, or Angelo, but
scientists.
those,
Einstein said that we can see beyond the natural world. Can you guys hear me okay?
Otangelo,
I'm not sure my phone's
Otangelo,
working right.
Otangelo,
Yes, you
those
guys can hear me?
people are putting
Can
forward
you stop
hypotheses.
over talking, please? Just
I just
one
want to double
after
check.
the other.
Sound check is all, because I'm not seeing a little indicator on my phone. Am I working okay?
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
So Otangelo, what you just said is those people have hypotheses.
Wrong.
A hypothesis is nothing. It's a proposition made in science which hasn't been confirmed in any way, shape, or form. So
That's you.
you can have different hypotheses, and people need to have those in order to try and investigate and find new things. But until someone comes up with a working model and a working theory, it's just an idea. And
Do you
everyone
know
can
that-
have ideas about
Do you know
what
that
happened.
there are people which claim
yeah.
that the multiverse is a proven fact?
Yeah, and I would call those people liars because they can't prove their fact. There's no way there's
what
no
about
way you can look
Quantum physics.
at the
Okay, Angelo.
universe. If
What
anyone
about
has
the
come up,
decoherency state? What about NASA's the guy that started the NASA Goddard Space Science Institute? He wrote all kinds of papers talking about supernatural forces. He said that in fact he
So?
said that after Benzæus discovered the cosmic
He wrote-
background radiation, and Nobel Prize gave him his reward for confirming that the Bible was true. Jastrow was so bold as saying how this not only proves the Bible's factually science, but he also said that he thinks supernatural forces now are a scientific fact, quote unquote.
I would
I
be
know-
happy. I would be happy if you could present any of that.
No, Cerberus. I
Do it all the
can confirm this. I forgot the name of the scientist. He actually made that stupid claim. It
Why
is
is it
the only problem with that claim is that he
Bias.
can't substantiate it and he can't back it up. It
They
is
do.
his belief, and he's also been on record. He's also been. Please, can you stop over talking, Joel?
I'm just correcting you.
Can you please stop
Joel,
over
No,
talking?
I want to hear you, dude. I want to hear what you're saying, but I won't.
John,
Yeah,
you
that's
need
not
to
that's
wait.
not working.
John,
that's
you
not-
need to wait until Peter or anyone else finishes, and then you can answer. If you keep over talking, I will have to remove you from the chat.
Listen to his atheist sermon. Okay.
It's not an
Well, it's
atheist
not about
sermon.
I just want that each one has a fair share, can make its point without being interrupted by anyone else. That's
Well,
why,
we topic
how I'm
jump so
asking.
far it's gonna be hard, but okay, try.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so he has made that claim. He's also made the claim that claim is based on faith. That's the only thing that I want to put out. I did do research because someone on Twitter brought up this scientist. He is a Nobel Prize winner, and he did make that claim that Joel just stated. He also
that's right.
added the caveat that claim was made based on faith,
No.
not on
No,
evidence.
he said it's all astronomical evidence now points to the fact that Genesis is true. I can get
That's
the actual
false.
quote later for you if you like. That's what he said.
False.
I don't.
If somebody else wants to look up Robert Jastrow's quote, I think it's on the wiki quote.
Yeah, but the thing is, he can say it. That's fine. Like,
Well,
so what?
yeah. Again, so that's what everybody does. That's what atheists do. And he
No.
presented the evidence. He wrote entire novels about it, books and reports, and it's not just him.
He presented evidence of a god.
Wait. So you're
Yeah,
saying
No
I
one on the planet has seen or heard about this evidence, and he presented
Yes,
evidence,
you do.
clear-cut evidence of a god.
Wait,
Well, and that's what
Peter,
theists
I
do all
asked
day,
you
every
at
day.
the beginning what you would consider as evidence which would satisfy your criteria, and where you would actually change your mind and say, oh, this is kind of evidence which is really compelling and I cannot deny it anymore. There must be some sort of creator. What kind of evidence would that be?
I know exactly what kind of evidence it is. Any kind of evidence that is exclusionary to that particular hypothesis, right? Meaning it has to exclude all other hypotheses.
That doesn't seem to make sense, man.
That's exactly how you prove a theory.
So if I say
Mhm.
Santa Claus is the best explanation, as long as this not has been disproven, therefore there is no God.
That's an appeal to me.
No, because that's shifting the burden of proof. In order for you to
just did.
hold on, for you to claim that there is a God, you have the burden of proof. I can reject your claim. That I don't need to come up with an alternative. I don't need to come up with answers that you think your God would answer. I don't have to do that. I can just say, I don't know. And until you come up with positive evidence for a God, and especially in the case of the Christian God, for the Christian God, then I can reject the claim that this God exists. It's that easy.
Right. And so we can reject the atheist claim that God does not exist because
The atheists
I
don't
agree.
claim that
I thought
God
you were
does
gonna
not
give us turn.
exist.
No, some
I
do.
thought we were going to take turns.
Some do, and it's totally fine.
I
to reject
thought we
that.
were going to take turns. hypocrites.
I can.
So atheists making a religious
can
claim
make
that
it
God
clear.
does not exist. They have zero evidence for it. They admit they don't need evidence for it.
I can
So
make a
theists-
clear case
theists,
for the
especially
Christian God not to exist.
Christians have the biblical science says to always be ready to give a reason for your belief. 1 Peter 3:15. So Christians like Sir Francis Bacon, for example, they invented the Christian scientific method specifically to have a means to take observable, repeatable
No such-
evidence in real time and see you're interrupting. So Christians invented their scientific method specifically to analyze everything, including the existence of God, like Thomas Jefferson is also famous for quipping. So that's how science started. That's what theists do. Theists will say, okay, why does that star out there? Why does it shine? Why does it blink? And they apply their scientific method to find out why. And so there's all these fields, every single field of science, from Mendel's genetics to Planck's quantum physics, all fields of science have been started exclusively by a creationist explaining their evidence for God.
I
And
reject
atheists
that.
will not
I
talk about
reject that. I
Right.
reject that claim, and not only do I reject
Absolutely,
it,
you have to.
I can-
Atheists
I can
have to
back it.
reject all
I
science.
can back. I can. You're still over talking. I can back up that. It's
I really
wrong.
wasn't finished. So no, you're over talking. But I understand and I agree. You as an atheist, you are religiously forced. You are by indoctrination forced
I don't-
to
I
deny
don't
all
have- I
science
don't
because
have
otherwise you would
religion.
have to challenge your religion.
Stop straw manning me. I don't have.
That's
a
not a
religion.
straw man. Yes, you do.
It
Everybody
is
has
a straw man.
religions. In fact,
Okay.
atheists have the strongest
Joel.
religion on the planet.
Joel, here's the thing.
Holy
As
shit!
long
Yes,
as
Peter.
long as you don't give me the respect and ask me what I think and what I believe,
Okay.
but you keep telling
Peter,
me
please.
what I think and what I believe,
Okay.
I will stop talking
No.
to you. How's that?
I understand how emotional this is for you guys. Look,
No,
I don't care. I don't
not
know.
emotional.
That's anecdotal.
I don't
That's
talk to
anecdotal. I'm talking about
I don't
atheists.
talk to
I'm not talking about
dishonest
you.
people.
Calm
I don't
down.
talk to
I'm not talking about you. You
You
don't
are-
take a generalized religious conversation about religious atheists in general. You making that personal yourself, that's you trying to destroy a conversation.
Wait a
Okay.
second. Wait a second.
Angelo,
If you're
Angelo,
talk- the Peter,
I'll
sorry,
make
one second.
I'll make this very clear. I refuse
wait
to
for it.
talk to
Your
someone
anecdotal
who
religious beliefs aren't material. We don't care.
still over talking.
We can talk about atheism without
and
talking about your beliefs.
Then over talking. He keeps over talking.
You're being a bully.
He pretends to be able to read my brain. So
No, we don't. We're talking about atheists. We're talking about science, not about you. Interjecting your own anecdotal, personal stuff is irrelevant. You're doing a logical fallacy.
Hey, AJ, how you doing?
Looks like I joined at the right time.
Yeah,
Your personal beliefs are not important to the conversation.
Can I take a
Yeah.
turn in between this bickering, this real quick?
You mean him interrupting and being a hypocrite? Sure.
That includes you. So there's a few things I want to say because I wasn't actually done talking, addressing what Antangelo was saying before everyone else jumped in.
Me neither, man.
So first, I want to say that to describe better what that type of evidence is, and you need to find me something that cannot be true of the claim.
Yep.
If existence is just existence, that is godless with any possible property.
Mhm.
Right? You have two main hypotheses: an existence with any possible property, and another existence with any possible property plus a god. Whatever evidence says that the god one is the right one and excludes the other one, then I'll be some type of theist. There isn't any of that. There simply isn't.
Yes, there is actually.
You can believe it. That's fine. The second thing, when you're talking generally about a group that someone belongs to, that you're likely talking to or with, you are actually talking about them. So when you say all the stupid things about atheism, you are insulting the atheist in the room.
So no thanks. All that means then is that you're, as an atheist, try to silence dissent to their religion by saying you can't talk about my religion. No thanks.
I mean,
That's all it is.
no. He was
That's the
complaining.
dumbest thing I've heard today.
He was complaining that you were insulting him, just like you would if he was insulting you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, he can insult the Christian belief all he wants. It doesn't mean he's insulting me.
If you call atheism a religion, you've instantly invalidated anything that you.
Right. That's what
say
atheist
after
religious
that.
sects always say because they need to
Exactly.
silence dissent to their religion.
Because it's
So what-
ridiculous.
No, what that is, that's atheists presenting that they're extremely anti-humanist because they
What's
need to
the-
disassociate
Joel,
themselves from the rest of all humanity
It's you being
who disbelieves the
anti-dictionary.
atheist religion.
Joel, what's the
Dictionaries
definition?
don't matter.
Joel,
Dictionaries
what's the
change
definition of a religion?
having a belief about God.
What's the
Atheists are the
definition?
negative religious belief.
What's
Look, you
the
guys are talking
definition?
over me. You guys
What's
are the
the
worst
de-
hypocrites on Angelo's
I'm
channel.
asking a simple question.
No, you're
What's
not.
the-
You're talking over me. You're interrupting me. You're not listening to me. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. It doesn't matter. All we can do is talk about things in general.
That's
In fact,
really
if you ever take a logics or debate class, the moment that you say, "Well, that's not true because I don't believe it," you failed. You will be. The teacher will tell you, "Get out of my classroom." You have to keep things generalized. As soon as you make anything anecdotal or ad hominem, you have lost the debate.
Okay,
You guys
ATS
don't know what you're
Junior,
talking about.
So you have no
Can-
answer
can
to the
I-
question what a
Yes.
religion
Can
is.
I
Yes.
stop? Can I stop you guys, please?
Yeah,
ATS
I'm gonna-
Junior, wow, Joel, if you don't stop, I will kick you out because
No, I was just going to apologize, is all. And Angelo, I was probably going to do this on my own channel later tonight, is all I was going to say. I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
okay, this isn't being a good conversation.
No.
And I think, Joel, that you are responsible too for that over talking.
Yeah.
And I would like just to move on to Atheist Junior. How do you feel was your debate tonight with Kent Hovind? As it seems it was your first time that you had a debate. Is that correct?
Yes, it's basically my first debate ever, and it's hard to know how I did when I'm, during the debate. But it was more. I went in trying not to underestimate Kent because I know some people have done that, and not taken the debate that seriously with him. Like, I'll say like Godless Engineer. Not that I think that he did bad against Kent, but he was not taking it very seriously. And Kent, it was tougher than I thought. But I know that I got a few good points against him. I'm sure I could have done better, but I think considering the fact that it was somebody who has had like 200 plus debates versus me on my first one, I think I did pretty good. And there are a lot of people that will, want to disagree with Kent or, try to say stuff about him. But, it takes something more than that to actually go face to face with him and debate him. So
what do you think
I agree.
was a good
Potential.
point?
Can I just add a quick thing to that?
Go ahead.
And Atheist Junior mentioned that as well. You can disagree with Kent Hovind on everything he says. What you cannot disagree on is that the man has an enormous amount of experience doing debates and that he is actually a pretty good debater. That has nothing to do with his points. As a debater, he is extremely good, and that comes by experience. And so that's the part where Atheist Junior would always lose to someone like Kent if you're not a natural talent in some way, shape, or form. I think AJ did great in the debate, considering it was his first, considering he was going up to someone who has perfectioned his debate style.
I agree, Peter. I think any atheist which thinks it is an easy cake to debate him will soon learn that it isn't the case. And
that atheist will lose the debate.
And
so
I've seen people lose to Kent.
Yes. So what do you think were the best points which you made in debating him tonight?
Well, I felt like when he was saying how I shouldn't have to pay for public schools to teach this, and I told him that he's running a religious ministry that is tax exempt. I felt like I kind of stumped him on that one because he had to admit that I was right. And even though he said later in the debate that I shouldn't have to pay for this, that felt pretty good. And I saw a bunch of people in the chat because I made the mistake of reading the live chat while the debate was going on. I saw a lot of people in the side chat liked that point. And
there was one more. So it's sad that you went up second because you replied to his opening statement in your opening statement. I don't know if you noticed, but that part was still in there. Kent claiming that I don't want my theory to be taught in public schools. You pointed out that that is not only wrong, it's a flat out lie, because he still has that DVD in his web shop where he wants his theory taught in private schools.
Right, but did you notice that he never said that phrase during the debate? So
Nope, because
And
you said
was
it in
able-
your opening statement.
yeah, so I am glad about that because I Kent says that in every debate I've seen, but I was able to kind of stop that before he even got started. So I felt like I had limited his options a little bit,
I think the matter if the creationism should be taught at school or not is an entire separate topic. And I, for myself, when I was at school, when I was 7, 8, 9 in Switzerland, every Friday afternoon, our professor, he did take the Old Testament from one of the books of Moses, and that just told us these stories. And I loved it. And this was very important for me. Now, the question if creationism should be taught at science classes or not, this is a huge topic which goes on for a long time. And I think that even the Discovery Institute doesn't promote that anymore. And
Not after Kitzmiller versus Dover.
yeah.
Where I might add, they were slaughtered in that court case by a Christian.
Yeah, the judge was a Christian appointed by George W. Bush.
No. I'm talking about the guy who went up against the intelligent design people. Ken Miller.
Yes,
Ken Miller. I spoke to Ken Miller a couple of months ago. He's a Christian. He's also a great scientist.
Yeah, Kent doesn't like him.
I had an interaction with him at his Facebook timeline, and he stopped to answer to my inquiries in regards of irreducible complexity. But I would love to have any time also a conversation with him, which so far he has denied. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm
Again-
Hey, man, I'm gonna go for
Again, I'll see what I can do,
I can ask you a
Otangelo,
question
because
quick, I guess.
he has agreed to come on my channel.
Oh, great.
Hey, buddy, I'm gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
probably start my own channel. I'm gonna see if I can find some people that actually want to talk about science stuff for a change. But I can share on the topic you guys are talking about right now that the cool thing, and we talk a lot about this in my what I do for work, that Christian creationism or whatever you want to call it, theory of evolution. That's all creationism is already being taught in public schools everywhere, because as Darwin himself talks about, he got his theories primarily from Lamarck and William Paley, while Darwin was earning his Christian divinity degree at Christ's College of Cambridge.
Wrong.
So in theory, actually not in theory, in fact, no, it's all true. In fact, Darwin even called himself a theist. Is that all of the stuff that we talk about in evolution,
how's that relevant?
that all the stuff that we talk about in evolution, quote unquote, that's all Christian creationists.
How's
Science
that relevant?
started by Christian creationists.
Okay,
How is
so
that
So
relevant?
evolution, quote unquote, is creationism. That's what's key.
Okay,
And
so-
it goes back to what I was trying to say earlier tonight that was so rudely interrupted constantly, is that all of science, all fields of science are by Christian creationists.
Joel, at the end of his life, someone wrote Darwin a letter and asked him in regards of his stance in regards of God, and he confessed that he wasn't a believer in the Christian God. Very
Right,
clear.
and then the whole story with Lady Love and all that stuff. Lady Hope.
Which was a lie, which his family has debunked, which pretty much everyone on the planet has debunked, and only creationists keep peddling.
Okay, so
Lamarck had
Right, and then he called himself a
fundamentally
theist
different
in
ideas
his
than
own
Darwin.
autobiography. But regardless, so the theories are all started by Christian creationists, and Darwin wrote them while he himself was a Christian creationist. So we can
Again,
talk about
how
that.
is this relevant?
I'm gonna start my own channel tonight, guys. So it's relevant because all theists start science, and so or fields of science, and so atheists have to
That's wrong.
steal from creationists to beat them over the head with.
Okay,
So
wait.
I'm gonna start my own channel so that the atheists here don't prove that they're the ones who have such an insecure religion they have to constantly interrupt and then blame people like me for it. So
Well, if you
just wanted
talk
to say real quick on
endlessly,
Tangelo,
if
and I
you
just
talk
wanted to
endlessly,
thank
you're
you for
eventually
having
going
me
to
for
get
a second.
interrupted.
And I'm going to start my own channel so I can regulate people to actually have a civilized conversation about the actual science, not about what they want to believe. You guys are
an
welcome to
awesome-
follow. I
that's an
appreciate it.
awesome thing.
Have a
That's
great
an
night
awesome thing to
and
do,
enjoy
Joel.
the atheist
While
religious
someone-
fanatic.
Oh my
while
God.
someone- that's an awesome thing to do. While someone is running a live stream trying to steal their viewers by saying, I'm going to now do a stream on my channel. Joel is an asshole, and I'll be on the record saying that.
Yeah,
My apologies for that word, Otangelo. This is something that I think is intolerable between content creators. You
If-
do
if-
not go on someone else's live stream to tell people, come over to my channel because I'm going to do a better job than this guy. Those
if you're in a
people,
hangout with if you're in a hangout with 4 other people and you talk endlessly and never stop, yeah, you're eventually going to get interrupted because other people want their turn to talk. So yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, we are having here friendly conversation. We are not
Yes.
raising our voice. We are just normally talking like at the table, and it isn't necessary to raise the voice and to become alterated. So,
I preferred the conversation we had before Joel joined, and I'm hoping we can continue that.
Real quick, because I've been sitting on this for a while. Because between Joel and Peter and Atheist Junior, I literally could not say anything.
yeah,
I just want to point out.
I
No,
will
Peter,
apologize.
No, quiet. Shush.
I
Let me go.
will
apologize
I will apologize for
No,
over
apologize
talking. It is one of my bad things.
yeah, he's been waiting. Let him say something.
Yeah, quit interrupting me to apologize for interrupting.
Okay.
Okay. So if Joel thinks it's so important that all of these scientific theories, like all of them, were started by Christians, and I guess therefore they're correct or something, he should totally accept that the Earth is old, and he should totally accept that evolution is true, and he should totally accept the Big Bang is how it happened.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't simultaneously try to take credit for something that you think is false.
No.
Well, you
No.
can. You just makes you look stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. And Lamarck, I was trying to say this, but I couldn't. But Lamarck had ideas that were fundamentally in conflict with Darwin. You can't say that Darwin got his ideas from Lamarck. I mean, they were contemporaries, but Lamarck had ideas, like the giraffe stretching its neck out over its lifetime. That's completely different than heritable characteristics.
Yeah.
And I've heard that same argument from Kent that creationists started all fields of science, and there's a difference between a Christian or a theist and a young Earth creationist. They're equivocating.
well, the truth is that all the big science fathers, they were Christians, but the entire intellectual environment prior to Darwin was different. And that
Yes.
changed with Darwin, and it changed especially with Thomas Huxley in between 1860 and 1880. He was head of the X Club, which then formed the Royal Society, and they pushed to the foundation that science should be coming to conclusions of natural mechanisms explaining things, because the supernatural cannot be tested, cannot be proven. And that is the framework upon which science, even still today, is resting. That's why you don't ever see a peer-reviewed science paper at the end, in the conclusion, saying upon evidence X and Y, it seems most likely that the creator is the best explanation for the phenomena which has been unraveled and explained and demonstrated. You will always find a natural explanation which is 99% based on evolution.
Well, that's when we're talking about biology. Um,
Well, yeah, but
I mean,
he means evolution. I mean, there's
Yeah.
other types of evolution. That's fine.
yeah.
I would say also,
Also,
even in
also,
cosmology, you will rarely find a physics paper which will say, well, based on the fine tuning which we see in this and that, it seems that a fine tuner is required. You will see that maybe in philosophy papers, but not in peer-reviewed physics papers.
yeah. So what I would like to see is someone debate Noel on Newton, who was a Christian and was a great scientist, who had personal revelation that Jesus was not God. That would be an interesting conversation. I'd like to see how we would do during that conversation.
I mean, Newton
But-
was also an alchemist. He believed
Yes.
that he was experimenting to
Yep.
see how it could be turned, metal could be turned into gold. So he
Mhm.
was very plural in his scientific investigations. And I mean, if you were at his epoch, in his time, many things were not known yet. So they were making many different kinds of experiments, which in our view today would seem to be silly, but back then it was not, because certain things simply were not known yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would like to say that I mean a lot of scientists, even going back like to 400 years, not a lot. I guess it depends. A lot of them believed in God, but also a lot of them were pantheists. Right. So when they say God, they meant a pantheist God.
Yeah, and I still want to add the caveat that whether or not someone believes in a God or not, if they're producing good science, then they should be judged on that and not on their beliefs. Because if what they actually contribute to science, if that is valid, they should get the credit for it, whether they're theist, atheist, deist, pantheist, doesn't matter, as long as the science can be backed up.
Yeah, guys, it's already 90 minutes, and it's already a little bit late, so I would like to end our stream.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Antangelo.
Otangelo, make a quick commercial that we're going to do a show that's going to be a back and forth, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yes. As soon as you have the art ready,
I'm
then
working on it.
so we will exchange and set the date to start our interaction, and
Yep.
at your and mine channel, and then see where it goes from there.
I'm as I said, I'm really looking forward to that.
Please make the art Mexican wrestlers.
No, it wouldn't fit the title. It took me a long time to come up with a title, because I can come up with a title that works on an atheist channel, and because Otangelo and I have agreed that we're going to do this in a back and forth, one show on our channel, one show on Otangelo's channel, you have to have a title that would work on both. So we're going to call it Crossing Channels, which is what we're going to do. We're also going to be crossing channels when it comes to views. We're going to be discussing presuppositionalism as put forth by Darth Dawkins. So probably Darth will be in the title of every episode, which we also agreed on. And as I said, I'm looking into what I need to make the intro look like, and if we need any other artwork, I'll have to do that, and I will obviously share that with Otangelo, and if necessary, I can produce shows on both channels. So, but Otangelo will at least have access to all the artwork as well. It's going to be a fully 50-50 collab, even though I make the artwork. It's going to be both of our property, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, cool. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for being at my channel, Peter Cerberus, and look forward to future episodes. So have a good night, all. Thank you for everyone that has joined and listened to our conversation, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.